I'm your host, Prepperines, and this is where we do survival content with a smile. So today's topic, we're going to be covering, should I get chickens? And if you're asking yourself that question, it probably means that you're into doing prepping things and possibly doing homesteading things. And if that's you, then I'm going to need you to go down below and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button because it costs this much money and it really helps Prepperines out. If you like this content, also leave a comment and let's get started. So, first things to talk about on whether you should get chickens or not is let's talk about the pros and cons. The pros are the taste is completely different than the store bought eggs. Now, I'm sure every once in a while you've probably splurged and gone and bought, a dozen of the organic eggs that are brown with the big, rich, juicy yolks that look like a sunset over the Rocky Mountains. Well, when you go back to having a regular egg after just doing that once or twice, you might notice a difference, you might not. But when you are on like a farm fresh egg every single day and then have to go and buy your normal 12 pack of eggs, it tastes like complete garbage. It tastes like it smells different. It tastes different. For me, I taste like metal or something. And a little known fact is that most eggs that you buy at the store um, were created 3 months ago. Obviously, they probably have some fancy pasteurization process that they do to keep them, viable enough to eat after being that old. My eggs, come straight out of the chicken. Sometimes we got to wash them off a little bit, and the taste is completely different. And they're like at most maybe a week old. So the second pro I would say is price. Right now, you know, the average cost of eggs here is $10 a dozen, which is crazy. That's a crazy amount of cash. And so, um, obviously, the prices go up and down. Right now, we're in a kind of a supply crunch because of the fact that there's a supposed bird flu. And so that's kind of, they're culling all these birds and it's wiping out the egg populations. So, that being said, like, supply and demand is a basics principle. So obviously, eggs are going to go up in price when we have uh, disease in the bird populations. Now, let's go back to a year ago. 1 year ago, eggs in January, the average price was around $3.20. Let's go back further than that. Let's go all the way back to 1980. 1980, now not adjusted for inflation or anything, a carton of eggs, 12 eggs was 88 cents. Okay? Now, we're going to see these ebbs and flows in the egg production and egg prices, in this day and age because when a bird gets a cold, we kill the bird. Good thing we don't do that to dogs or people. Or do we? So, anyhow, if you want to safeguard yourself against potential um, variations in the price of eggs, because that's an important part of your life, then yes, highly suggest you get a couple eggs or a couple chickens. Usually like they're pumping out at least an egg a day. They'll go through periods where they don't. They go through a period called molting where they basically make you question why the hell you even got chickens in the first place because they're just squatters eating all your food. But when they do get in production mode, dude, they start pumping, and then you end up with all these eggs, and you're like, what the hell do I even do with these? Quiche for dinner every single night, frittata for dessert. So there is obviously a cost that comes with raising chickens. So I go through about a 25-pound sack of 20% protein granules and chicken scratch roughly every 2 weeks. The chicken scratch for 25 pounds cost me roughly, I think, $12. And the high protein mixture, 20% protein granules, which is what my chickens like, I think is about 16, or I get the expensive one. So that one's around $20 to $22. So do the math, whatever you think, however many eggs you're eating a day, but I'm telling you, the taste is massively different. I don't know if you guys remember back in, grade school, middle school, when they give you those orange slices at lunch, how like it didn't even taste like an orange and it wasn't orange at all. That's the same. That is the same thing when you go buy eggs at the supermarket. The yolks aren't yellow. They are devoid of nutritional value and taste. And on top of that, they taste like garbage. So the third thing, okay, so chicken shit. Let's talk about that. If you are gardening, dude, this stuff is liquid gold for your garden. Not only is it a great fertilizer, but chickens, you release them into your garden during the off season and the preseason too, before you've got stuff in ground, and they just go through and they just wreck house on spiders, on little aphids, anything that can get into your garden and mess it up. So that's what I usually do in the off season with my chickens. Now that we're in a move, yeah, we're not doing that right now. So another thing I'd say that is important, which is like kind of one of the big reasons I even got chickens in the first place. Papa's Farm, what's up, dude? Phil McCracken, and we got Seb 50 Cheb, which is an awesome name. So another upside is if you have children, or if you are just like a person who likes to have pets around. Having chickens around is going to teach you animal husbandry, and it's also going to teach your kids, about having chores to do around the house. It's going to teach your children about, taking care of animals, which is important. So I'd say those are the four pluses to having chickens. They're also going to learn about biology with the fertilization process for gardens. Now the cons are obviously maintenance. This is an animal that is basically a dinosaur with a brain the size of a peanut. They'll die in very mysterious ways. We've initially started with a flock of 6, and I lost 3 of them. And I think maybe one was to a hawk strike. Another one could have been from a raccoon who they kill for fun. And the third one, I just have no idea, man. And it's kind of fun trying to figure out how they died. You put your IC or CSI hat on. So, you know, they need to be checked up on. You got to check their water. You got to make sure that they haven't pooped in their food, that they haven't gotten out or gotten stuck. Like I said, they're not very smart. Um, so there's the maintenance side of it too. Obviously, what you have to put things into them to get eggs out, and that costs money. So there's going to be periods where they aren't making any eggs. They're going to go through a molting process. They're going to lose all their feathers, and you're going to think that they have bird cancer, and you're going to wonder why you even did this in the first place. But if you're doing a garden, then you got twofold. You're getting paid in 2 different ways. So I will also say the third the third con is, you know, when it comes to taking vacations and stuff, because this is an animal that kind of needs to be checked on every day. There's predators involved that potentially could kill your chickens if they're not put away. So if you don't have someone to take care of your chickens, guess what? It makes going on vacations kind of tricky. The fourth and final thing I would say is you're gonna get some variation in the chicken feed prices. Um, it's also if you buy chickens, you're getting them from a chick, super tiny animal that's susceptible to getting sick and dying too. So there's 4 pros, 4 cons. But I would say the biggest pro, if you're here on this channel, the biggest pro is because you want to be self-sustainable. You want to sustain yourself. You don't want to rely on a grocery store for food. Dude, these things pump out these freaking eggs like this, and you don't have to refrigerate them up until a certain amount of time. You know, it's great. It's like one of the greatest things I've ever done. We did it in a backyard in suburbia. It can be done. It can definitely be done. Now, check your local regulations. Obviously, there's going to be some areas that either require you to have a permit or maybe your HOA doesn't allow it at all. So I'd say keep that in mind. But I've never really been one for following the rules when it comes to stuff like that. So I'll leave that there. But anyways, that's my 4 pros, my 4 cons on why you should get chickens. Should you get chickens? You know, there it is. If you guys like this stuff, hit the like button, maybe subscribe, leave a comment down below of how many chickens you got, and I'll check you out in the next video. See you guys.